Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. You love our next guest as Connor Walsh on How to Get Away with Murder, but Jack Falahee is here today to enjoy an early morning drink with me. February 8th was National Scotch Day, and Falahee is going to sit down with me and enjoy some Oban. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Jack Falahee. Not Falahee or Falahee or Falahee, it's Falahee. If you think saying my name is hard, think about some of those Scotch whiskies you see in a bar or store. At least a few of those names can be linguistically labyrinthine, or let's just say they are hard to pronounce. But not all Scotch is the same. This single malt, for example, is made in one of the smallest and oldest distilleries in Scotland, and its name is pronounced Oban. Simple as that. Easy to say and a pleasure to taste. Is pronounced Oban.
Everybody, please welcome Jack Falahee.
Hey.
And our bottle of Oban.
The real star.
That we've been asked to drink the entirety of in the next 20 minutes.
That is not true.
This is going to go great, guys. No, not at all. That's not true. Jack, you've been one of the main characters on How to Get Away with Murder for the last 5 years, right? Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's such an incredible run.
Thank you. Yeah. We just wrapped season 5 last week.
What does that feel like?
Incredible. I mean, the fact that, to get a TV show made, it's almost impossible. And then for it to get on the air and run for 5 seasons, I'm very, very fortunate to be a part of it. And I'm really happy. Yeah.
The life of most actors is desperately trying to get a pilot. And then the pilot maybe gets shot.
Right.
And then most likely does not go to air.
Right, exactly.
Whereas then you can go to air and get canceled after a few episodes or maybe one season. The likelihood of of like a 5-year longevity at the very least for a show is crazy. It's a miracle.
Yes.
I mean, you have Shonda Rhimes behind it. And Viola,
exactly. I mean, once they added Viola to the mix, I was like, okay, it's probably going to run for a bit.
Were you cast prior to her signing on to the show?
Yeah, I was like the second or third person cast, and so I wasn't sure, who was gonna sort of be our fearless leader. And when they announced Viola, I was ecstatic.
And fearless leader, she is.
She is.
I've interviewed her a couple times. She's one of the most incredible people I've ever talked to.
Yeah, she's inspiring for sure.
What is that like having her on set? Do you go for? I would treat her like a mother figure. I think I would consistently be like, "Excuse me, I have this little problem. Will you tell me what to do?"
Yeah, she always jokes that as the seasons have gone on that we no longer respect her, that we've become like so familial with her that she's like, you guys don't even listen to me, which is not true. We do. We love her and we respect her very much. But yeah, I mean, we're all very close. She's one of the most down-to-earth people I've ever worked with, and you feel that on set, contrary to the character that she's playing on the show. She's very loving and warm and
yeah, I've always wondered about that because everybody on the show, for the most part, is playing
a terrible person,
a dick, right? Like, and a bad person.
Yeah.
So, what is it like behind the scenes? I mean, do you sort of get all of that out of your system on camera, and then everybody's very jovial and warm off camera?
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, the subject matter's so serious that we just have a fun time on set. We're just joking around and kind of razzing each other, and then we get into the scene and it's intense, but you have to kind of shake it off, I think.
Do you and McGorry razz each other the most?
Yes, there's a lot of that. We actually just had a little staycation, some of the cast members and I, in Los Angeles last week, 2 weeks ago, and there was a lot of late night shenanigans between McGorry and me. Yeah, sure.
Why a staycation? Were you guys like on a brief break from shooting?
Yeah, and like, the 5th season was winding down and we just wanted to take a little moment to ourselves, and it's really it's go all season.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of shooting really fast.
Yeah, and we're shooting out of order. We don't know what's coming next because they keep us on our toes too with the scripts. So it's nice to just have a moment.
Forgive me for not remembering. Is How to Get Away with Murder one of the like old school shows that shoots more than 10 or 12 episodes a season, or is it a 10 to 12 episode a season show?
Yeah, we shoot 15.
You shoot 15, so it's not like the classic 22. It's
it's somewhere in the
between.
Middle. Yeah,
that's still so much work.
It is. I mean, we're in from like July to February. So yeah, so that's a lot going on.
And what most people don't know is that when you're on a TV show like that, as much as you may not be on every day, like if you don't have to shoot every day, you're still on. You can't go and do anything else anywhere
Right.
because they may pull you in at any point.
Yeah, I'll if I have a day off, I might like drive out to the desert or go hiking somewhere. And I've gotten in trouble more than one time when they'll call me and be like, "Hey, we need you to come to work," and I'm like, "I'm in
3 hours
Joshua
away."
Tree." I'll be right there. And I'm, throwing my dog in the car and then we're racing back to LA. But
And then you get back there and they're like, do not do that.
yeah, exactly. And then I do it again, and yeah, no. It's
So tell me, prior to getting involved with Oban, which I'm looking forward to trying.
yes,
Were you a Scotch drinker?
I was.
How did you start drinking Scotch?
The first memory I have of drinking Scotch was with my grandpa, actually.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. He'd have a glass now and then, and when I was little growing up, I always watched him, and I would like smell it, and I was like, oh, that's gross. And then when I was finally of age, I remember over the holidays, he like poured me a glass, and we had like a nice little conversation, which I think is the best way to enjoy Scotch is over conversation.
As we're doing.
Exactly.
Should we
That's
enjoy
right.
Scotch?
Yeah, we should.
Do you want me to do the pour?
I would love. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, hold on.
you're gonna be great.
Why don't you talk to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So I actually bartended for many years in New York City. I went to NYU, which is a block away, so it's a little surreal that I'm here talking to you guys. But so while I was bartending, I came to love Scotch a lot
great.
more, and learned a little bit more about it. Cheers.
Cheers. Also, thank you for picking it up when I threw that at you for a second. Entertain the audience now instead
Yeah.
of me doing my job.
What do you taste? What do you taste?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so smooth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely
Very
got some.
smooth. It's nuanced.
Yeah.
It tastes to me kind of like autumn. I think you get some of those, like pear, fig, little honey maybe.
Let me try again. Definitely
Yeah.
honey.
Definitely.
I just
honey.
got, I need another sip.
One
to get
more.
those
I
flavors.
just need to try
I
it
actually
one
do
more
think
time.
I'm going to need a full glass after this sip to maybe really.
Yeah, I mean
that is lovely.
the thing that I love about Oban is that it's been around forever, 1794, and they've been making it the same way. And
What way is that?
they have these 2 copper stills, right? And they haven't changed the method of how they've made it since they started. And there's 7 people that work there in the distillery, which is pretty wild because, you have 14 hands that are going into every single bottle that gets produced.
It's not the most growth-focused company. It's a quality-focused company.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's quality control, right? And they really pride themselves about it being a craft, and they're dedicated to the craft of making Scotch. And I think that's reflected very clearly in glass.
So how did they know that you like Scotch? How did this come to you? Because I've tuned into How to Get Away with Murder, and I don't ever remember you in the midst of killing somebody or something, turning to the camera.
There have
like,
been
"Oh,
a couple,
Scotch."
exactly right. There have been a couple interviews over the years where I've just casually mentioned Scotch, and no affiliation or anything. Just oh, what are you drinking?
Just putting it out there.
Yeah,
Scotch
I'm just
brand.
hey,
Pick it
Scotch.
up.
And truthfully, Oban is my favorite. And so when they came to me with the partnership idea, and then they pitched the mispronunciation, and
Do people mispronounce your name?
oh my gosh, Falahee's tough, right?
Well, I feel like what it is that it looks so simple. Falahee is essentially how it's spelled.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but there's something about it that you
Oh,
don't
I mean,
assume
people-
that it's actually said phonetically.
Sure, people commit to it in just all the wrong ways, which is great. But yeah,
Faleha, I like a lot.
Falahee, falafel.
It's just a mean nickname.
I know, that's just right. Yeah, so when they came and showed me the actual idea for the campaign, I was like, that is pretty clever. I'm in.
And now you have, I imagine, a house filled with Scotch.
they did send me
A lifetime
little
supply
bit
of Scotch?
Yeah, they sent me a little bit of Scotch to stock my bar, which is nice because, I love hosting, and so I just bring folks over and we'll have a glass, and it's perfect.
Scotch is a really great alcohol, I find, for hosting. Like,
Yes.
if you're out at a bar prior to that and people come over late at night,
Yeah.
it's a really great drink for everybody to just have, like, one last drink
Yes.
or one or two drinks, because it's not like, let's keep this party cranking for the rest of the night. It's like, hey, let's finish off with a nice conversation.
And you want to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They actually, Oban's doing this really cool partnership with Game of Thrones, and my friends and I, as we're getting older, we've really settled down into just like our nights together playing board games, and our favorite board game is the Game of Thrones board game. And so now that Oban has,
How does the Game of Thrones board game work? Is it like Risk?
yeah, it's like Risk but much more complicated. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough.
Wow. So you guys get together, you play the Game of Thrones board game.
Well,
and
we're having like the
drink
Oban
scotch.
Night's Watch Scotch. Yeah, it's perfect.
I do not mean this in a derisive way at all, but prior to the Game of Thrones board game, was it like D&D? Or Risk?
Yeah, I mean,
Basically these like very long-winded
yeah,
strategic
totally.
games.
Yeah, we played a lot of Risk, and we had a D&D campaign. Now we're playing Gloomhaven. So
What's
similar.
Gloomhaven?
Gloomhaven's like someone took D&D and basically made it into a board game.
See, I feel so bad in these conversations not knowing about these things, because I feel like for so long in our culture, like people who played board games like this were made fun of.
like
and so the
ostracized.
guy who sits there and is like, what's that? Immediately comes off like he's kind of mocking it. But there are so many things in my life that if I started talking about, you would be like, what
Sure,
is
yeah, of
what is
course.
that? You
No.
weirdo? Why do you do that?
Yeah, it's all good.
So you went to Tisch, right?
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to be an actor?
In high school, I
What was the part?
had a little part in Singing in the Rain, and I was terrible. It's funny. My older siblings all my siblings are very impressive, but my older siblings, one was in law school, my brother was pre-med, and by the time I came around, my parents were like, go do whatever you want. So yeah,
Parents are doctors. Your father's a
dad's
doctor, right?
yeah.
And your mother's a teacher, right?
was yes.
Yes,
I mean, then
excuse me.
she raised a family, and the hardest job of all, and most important. But yeah, so it's a bit of a sad story, but when I was in high school, I lost someone very prematurely, and I wasn't dealing with their passing very well. And my grief counselor suggested that I do this production at my high school that he was supposed to be a part of. And I didn't really have any experience or anything. And I went and did it, and I felt this like profound sense of escapism stepping on stage and being able to forget about the, tragedy that was sort of happening at my school. Yeah, and I immediately, I was just bit by the bug and knew that I wanted to continue to be able to feel that way.
Were you good at first, or did people sort of say like, "Hey, you're pretty good at this. You should keep going," or was it something that you
I
just
don't
felt like you
know.
should have
I
done?
mean, someone from the University of Michigan, because I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Someone from the university saw me, and they sort of had that conversation with my parents, where like, your son's, he's got something. Like, have you considered letting him, try and audition professionally, or maybe for a collegiate program?
They were like, "Yeah, whatever he wants. We're done."
First, my dad was like, "Yeah, right," but he was very supportive. They both were.
What made them come around to being supportive?
I don't know. I think that
Getting over the hurdle of like initial.
I think that, but I think also my parents are both like very artistic. My dad's this incredible bluegrass musician. So I think part of them liked the idea. They were a little, yeah, definitely.
May I?
Yeah, please. I could use a little top off as well. Thank you.
Because we've got the real question coming in a minute.
Uh-oh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The real question being,
Yeah.
one of your movies prior to being in How to Get Away with Murder was a movie with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
I love Nicolas Cage.
Me too.
What was it like working with Nicolas Cage? And how insane did he allow you to see him be on set?
He's incredible. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that was a big moment for me, because it was like one of the first like real jobs that I had as an actor.
called Rage,
It's called
right?
Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and I'd been out of school for a little bit and sort of cutting my teeth in like the indie film scene, or as I like to call it, grad school. And then I got this this bit part in this Nicolas Cage movie, and he's like always been just an icon to me as an acting.
He's also someone who, as an actor, I imagine you get on set with him and he blows up every notion that you have of what an actor can be.
Totally. My favorite memory of that movie is at the end. It was his last day, but I think I had a couple days left. And he's sitting on set. I don't think he would mind me saying this. He's sitting on set and he's eating a bucket of fried chicken. And I was like, Nick, like, what? You just a fan of fried chicken? And he looks at me and he's like, this is what I do when I finish every single movie. I get the closest bucket of fried chicken and I just eat the entire bucket. I was like, that's one hell of a tradition. I might have to steal that. I love that.
That's incredible.
It's
this
incredible.
is why I love Nicolas Cage.
He's incredible.
Who else would think of such a fucking weird tradition?
I don't know.
To be like, I finish a project, I eat a bucket of fried chicken. But at the same time, it makes so much sense because you eat a bucket of fried chicken, you're gonna go into a coma and
Sure,
fall asleep.
yeah. You don't want to do that while filming, right?
But also, when you finish a movie, the last thing that you want to be doing is walking around replaying in your head the mistakes that you may have made, how the movie's going to come out, the feeling of actually like ending a project like that.
Yeah.
So if you can't get hammered or something,
Sure.
you eat a bucket of fried chicken and you go pass out and sweat.
I love how much you're unpacking it. I didn't even question it. I was just like, he knows what he's doing. There's a method to his madness. I'm in.
I know the method.
Yeah.
I feel like quite often I'm like, oh, I'm done with this thing. I'm going to eat the biggest meal possible and pass out on my couch.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. He was incredible. I hope to work with him again someday.
Someone once described an actor to me, an actor who is like very well known for sort of being spontaneous and wild on set. And they said that always keeps the scenes fresh. That because you don't rehearse and you never know what the actor's going to do, it's a completely different environment. Is it kind of like that working with being trapped in the cage?
Yeah, I mean, I will say though that he's spontaneous, but in a very safe way. Like I never once felt that, because sometimes you get on set and you work with actors and you can feel, especially if it's a physical, a fight scene or, just getting in someone's face. On more than one occasion I've worked with people and I'm like, this doesn't feel totally safe, maybe. Right. But he
didn't really pay attention to the fight choreographer or something.
Yeah, and like they let the
let's just
emotions,
try it, man. Let's just get into it.
Emotions get the best, the best of them, and it is pretend at the end of the day. And I feel like sometimes people toe the line, but Nick is, a professional, and at no point ever on set with him did I feel that he was being spontaneous to the point of maybe presenting harm to someone.
That's such a weird distinction, I think, when it comes to acting, is the difference between the actor who shows up and is like, I have to let the emotion get carried away. That's the job. And the actor who shows up and says, that is not the job. The job is to understand the emotion, be able to convey and express it for the camera or the audience, and then to be able to walk away from it very quickly. Yeah. Or at least walk away from it in enough time to not affect anybody in their immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
Were you ever the kind of actor who was like, I gotta bring it all and I have to be as emotional?
Honestly, at the beginning of How to Get Away with Murder, very much so.
That's what you hear from actors. Yeah. Like they're very early on in their jobs.
And I think it was necessary for me. And after a while, though, I realized like I had to change the method that I came to work with because it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years, 7 months out of the year to be putting yourself into these emotional places that are uncomfortable and scary. And, I would sit around thinking about like chopping up dead bodies and then have to like go do that at work. And it's just not great, it's not ideal. My dog had a tough time with it. I'd come home and he's like, what's wrong, Dad?
You also, if you're going to be around these people for a number of years that you're making this with, you don't want to be the guy at the craft service table who they just like can't go up and say hi to and say great job because you're still in the moment.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever have a moment like that where you were like, oh, they were just being nice. Why am I?
Yes.
Why do I think I'm still in character?
I feel like I owe that set like a blanket apology all the time. But
for your first season?
Yeah. Like the first two were pretty intense, I think. And also there was like this feeling of, 14 million people were watching every Thursday, and I just wanted it to be so perfect, right?
Wow, 14 million.
I think that's what we premiered to. Yeah. Yeah, it's a couple
Wild.
people.
I mean, but that's huge for television right now. Those are very rare numbers at this moment. I think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe I think Game of Thrones gets that at this point.
Right.
I'm not sure anymore if, and that has nothing to do with the quality of a show or how many people. I mean, it's just the economics of TV these days. I think.
Yeah. I mean, the landscape's completely different with the amount of content being out. Yeah.
Fractured, as they say.
One would say.
Yeah, one would say it's fractured. I think we have a question from Twitter. Let's pull that question up, and it's from @Dr. Disco in Wakanda.
Dope username.
Okay, there we go. What's the most challenging part of playing Connor at this point of the show?
That's a great question. Nice one, Dr. Disco.
Drink.
In Wakanda. Yeah, I mean, I would say the most difficult thing about playing Connor at this point in the show is finding moments of happiness, and also just trying my best every day to ground Connor in some form of reality, because such horrible things have happened to these people that it's very easy, I think, to kind of do bad acting and like move towards the craziness of the plot lines. But I think it's a slippery slope. I think you really need to remind yourself these are real people that have been put in, totally insane situations. How would I react, right? And not, go and be like soap opera acting land.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've always felt, I think when I've said this before too, I was thinking of How to Get Away with Murder often, which is that in a movie, you would do one of the things as an actor that you do in one episode of How to Get Away with Murder. And a movie takes like 3 months or 2 months or however long it takes these days to shoot a movie. Whereas in How to Get Away with Murder, every day you're showing up to set and doing a big moment. And your character is doing a massive, crazy, whether it's crying or killing or just yelling at somebody or plotting.
Yeah.
How do you, I imagine at first that's so exciting because you really just get to test your chops.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get to act.
You get to act. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that we talk about a lot, but I think that the thing that helps is I'm lucky to be on this cast that is just incredible actors. So we're all kind of checking each other and keeping each other honest and helping each other through these like big swings. And it's just fun too, like reminding yourself that it doesn't have, even though we're on this intense drama, that you can just go to work and have fun.
They say in theater, and I think I've heard a few people say this when it comes to classes, which is that often the writing will do the work for you.
Totally.
So do you find that when it comes to How to Get Away with Murder, because the scenes can get so big, that the name of the game is to underplay and try to let the writing do the work as much as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think relying on the writers at this point is the best tool I have. I mean, they've been doing it for 5 years. People love it. So trusting them is helpful.
You go into a scene and it's like, okay, on the page, he has killed this person and they are burying the body or something. I don't need to like convey that in big emotions. I can kind of, it will be conveyed through the words.
Absolutely.
Oh, interesting. We have a couple questions from the audience. Who has one of those questions? Right here. Hi, you have a microphone.
Hi.
Hey.
So I know you have some new music coming out with Elefante. So
That's true.
I just wanted to know if you could tell us a little bit about it and how making music compares to acting for you.
I think I might get in trouble if I talk about it. So Elefante and me have been making music. What can I say? It's coming out soon, I think. But I'm really excited about it. We've been spending a little over a year on it. Tim and I, Elefante and I, grew up together in Ann Arbor, and we've always talked about doing something together, and it sort of evolved and changed as we started writing. But for me, it was a great creative outlet. I would, be at work, and I would have a couple hours off, and he has a studio, a recording studio near where we film Murder. So I would drive over, we'd throw some music down, and then I'd go back to work. But it's different in that, it's my voice a little bit more. We're writing from my point of view. So there's a little bit more autonomy in that way. And I'm not sure yet how I'm going to feel totally about it when it goes live and I have to get on stage and sing in front of a bunch of people. But I guess I'll cross that bridge when, it comes.
Next question.
Hey, Jack.
Hey.
So I know you just finished wrapping up season 5, but
Yes.
besides music, what other projects, film-wise or television-wise, are you working on?
Just drinking scotch.
Just drinking scotch. I'm going to travel a little bit for now, see some family. But I have been developing a TV show myself, actually, that hopefully is going to start being shopped around in the next couple of months. Yeah.
How long have you been developing that?
That's been about 8 months. Wow. Yeah.
What made you want to start sort of developing your own show, whether you're in it or not?
Just wanted to tell stories in a different way. I love being on a show, but I think that there's something incredible about being the author of a show and bringing different stories to the television landscape. And there's so much TV being made now that it's really exciting. Yeah, it's a really exciting time to get involved, though, all these different players and everything. So, we've been developing this show, and it's, tells, I think, a story that I haven't seen on television, which is really exciting. So we'll see.
Well, Jack, it's been a pleasure talking with
Hey,
you. Been a pleasure drinking with you.
Yeah, yes,
I like How to Get Away with Murder. I love Scotch. I love Oban. It's great. Congrats on wrapping
Thank
the 5th
you.
season of the show.
Appreciate
And good luck on the next season's Jack Falahee, everybody. Let's hear it.
Thanks, guys.